Alright, here we go. A new episode. And today's something is Super Monkey Ball. Not any one particular game, just kind of the whole series. Thank you to Cactus Man for suggesting this on Patreon. So, where to begin with Super Monkey Ball? It's kind of a series I've been playing a lot since I was a kid. For as far as my gaming journey has taken me, Super Monkey Ball has always kind of been there. I guess just start from the beginning. Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. I had a GameCube when I was a kid. And Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, those were games I played a lot. Mostly Monkey Ball 2. I didn't play 1 a lot for whatever reason. 2 just seemed more feature-packed. It had a story mode, it had more party games. Didn't play a lot of those, but it was nice to have more. I don't know, I played a lot of it. It was one of those games. I didn't play a lot of difficult games when I was younger. I played like Super Mario Sunshine, Mario Party, Resident Evil I didn't really play. I know that was on the GameCube. I can't really think of many other GameCube games now that I'm on the spot. But Super Monkey Ball 2, that game really pushed you. I guess I'll talk more about the difficulty later, but that kind of filled that niche for me of like, okay, if I really want to challenge myself, I'll play Super Monkey Ball 2. I was a big fan of Monkey Ball back then, even though there was just 1 and 2. I considered myself a pretty big fan. And, eventually, they announced a new Super Monkey Ball. Super Monkey Ball Adventure. And oh boy, was I excited for this. I can't say if this was the first game I got pre-ordered, but it's the first one I remember getting pre-ordered. My mom got me remember getting the receipt for my GameStop pre-order for my birthday. That's one of the first, memories I have of pre-ordering a game. And it came with a Super Monkey Ball II plush. And I still have it. I still have it in this room. I have to find it. Maybe I'll put a picture of what it looks like on screen. But I still have that thing. I was really excited for that game. And it kind of sucked. Gosh, I never thought of it this way, but that must have been, my first gaming disappointment. I don't think I was that young when I played this, because I moved at some point earlier in my life. And I was kind of, older around the time. This can't have been my first major disappointment, at least as far as I can think of. This is my first, major disappointment. It's this doesn't do anything that 1 and 2 did that I liked. 1 and 2, what do I like about it? 1 and 2 was just no frills, here's some stages, beat them. And in 2, there was a story mode where there's cutscenes in the middle, but you can skip them. And the cutscenes themselves were fine. They didn't get in the way of the gameplay. The gameplay and adventure, it was how do I even describe it? I don't know why I'm thinking of Jak and Daxter, but it's kind of have this world that you explore. And there's puzzles in the world. But the main hook of the original Monkey Ball games, these compact stages, where it's oh, you're in this empty void and there's just one stage, beat it. There was a side mode in this. And the main thing was solving puzzles in an open world, or open level, rather. And that just did not stick with me. There was a lot of dialogue. It was boring. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was rough. Despite that, I still stuck with Monkey Ball. I was playing 1 and 2. Wasn't playing a whole lot of adventure, but I was playing 1 and 2 back then. And then I kind of stopped playing the GameCube. And then, the Wii rolls around. I was a big Nintendo fan up to that point, so I ended up getting a Wii. And Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. That comes out. Is that a Wii launch game? If not launch, it must have been really close to launch. But yeah, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. That was more in the way of 1 and 2, not so much like adventure, in that it was just stages to play. The innovations for this game were boss battles and jumping. Oh boy, jumping. As well as motion controls. Now this game didn't really stick with me. I have strong memories. These are core memories of me. Early Christmas morning, however many years ago that was. Still dark outside. I was hooking up my Wii, was going through the setup process. Then you get on and you see that main menu. It's like, oh, I'm used to the GameCube menu, and what's this? There's like channels and stuff. And then the first game I put in, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. Oh man, those were good times, you know? Well, before I started playing the game. Banana Blitz, you know, like I said, it didn't stick with me. Maybe I was too harsh in the gameplay at times, but the motion controls, I didn't like the motion controls. And you know, that's something that feels like it should make sense. Because, you know, Monkey Ball, it's about tilting the stage to get the monkey to go into the goal. And when you're playing the game, it's, at least for me when I was younger, it was kind of hard to like, I always had the perspective where it's like, oh, I'm moving the monkey around. I'm not moving the stage around to get the monkey to go somewhere. It was like, oh, I hold up and the monkey goes up. That was kind of how I viewed it at the time. And I guess still to this day, it's kind of like a weird perspective thing. It's hard to shake. And tilting the Wii remote, that was like, that kind of forced me into the perspective of the game. It was like, no, you're not tilting the monkey, you're tilting the stage. I guess I didn't even think about it at that point. It was just this thing, it's like, tilting the controller to move doesn't feel right. And I didn't like it for, I don't know, I guess I was just a dumb kid who didn't like change. You know, I wanted to move with the joystick. You know, the Wii remote had a nunchuck. I wanted to use that to move around. But no, that could not be. The technology simply wasn't there. Yeah, and the jump, I guess, that's something to talk about. I didn't like jumping too much. I felt like it threw a wrench in the whole, like, Monkey Ball formula. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the randomness it brought, because you jump, and then the stage kind of tilts in some weird ways when you move the controller up to jump. Or no, did you jump by swinging the controller up or by pressing A? I can't remember. Either way, jumping... I guess I should talk about this later. I'll write this down so I don't forget it. Okay, got that. Yeah, just jumping, it felt like it added a layer of randomness. I don't want to talk about it too much, but it enhanced the randomness that was already in the game. It built it up, and I didn't already like that part. In the movement, rather. So yeah, Banana Blitz, I had Adventure, but I was still playing 1 and 2. Those games were just so good. They were such a good foundation. I made a Super Monkey Ball video earlier. Was it last year? It was the end of last year, so it would have been around this time, actually. I made a Super Monkey Ball video, and I kind of talked about how Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, like, that was the peak. Like, the physics was perfect. It should have been a platform for games to come. I brought up N++ and how they perfected, like, the movement throughout the different iterations of N, which is like a game series, a platforming momentum series, whatever. They perfected the movement at some point in the systems, and they're like, okay, let's just add more. Let's not do anything crazy, let's not add any crazy new stage mechanics. Let's just add simple game mechanics and simple, like, no different movement options. It's just you're the same guy. Effectively, N++, the like third or fourth game in the series, you control pretty much the same as the first game in the series. They were just iterated upon up to that point. And that's what I wish they would have done with Super Monkey Ball. Because N++, that game has like 4,376 levels, is that right? I had to read that for the script in the Monkey Ball video. I think it was 4,300 something. There's just so many levels. Of course, that's like a 2D platformer with very simple graphics. But I wish Monkey Ball had been that platform where they could add like 100 stages, 200 stages. That's what I would have wanted out of Monkey Ball, and it was never that. It was never that. And there were a lot of Monkey Ball games past that. What was there? There was Banana Splits on the Vita. I guess before that there was like a Game Boy Monkey Ball. There was a DS. There was another Wii game. It was like you were using the balance board. Oh my gosh. I didn't play any of those. It seemed like the Vita one might have been most up my alley, but I didn't get a Vita until later in its life. I was kind of past it at that point. You know, Monkey Ball, it was like a remnant of my childhood. It was like, yeah, it's good. Kind of don't want to play it anymore. I kind of want to play Fallout New Vegas or whatever. But it's fun, you know. I respect Monkey Ball for what it was. It'd be great if they brought it back, but they're not going to do that. The team that made Super Monkey Ball, they're making Yakuza now. They're not going to do another Monkey Ball. And then, years later, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD is announced. This felt weird, because Banana Blitz, I was reading through comments on like Reddit and Twitter at the time, and people were more fond of Banana Blitz than I thought. I hadn't really dove into what the community thought of the game at that point. I was just kind of like, oh, I didn't like it, everyone else must have not liked it. But it seemed like a lot of people really liked it, and liked how the motion controls, it was like, it really grounded you in that you're tilting the stage. And people liked it. And so some people were excited for Banana Blitz HD. Banana Blitz was on the Wii, and then Banana Blitz HD was on the PS4, Xbox One, PC, all that. So it had been a while since Monkey Ball had been around. Yeah, it just felt weird that they were bringing back Banana Blitz of anything else. I guess it was kind of low-key what they did to it. It was pretty much just like an HD remaster. And that they're like, okay, we got all the files from the Wii game. Let's kind of upscale them a bit, give a resolution bump, add some quality of life stuff, and boom, there's the game. Didn't have to remake a bunch of assets. I remember people were like, why isn't this Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2? Make it in one package, all those levels. That'd be perfect. The perfect Monkey Ball game. But that game was older. That was obviously a GameCube game, PS2, Xbox. That was older. You can't quite remaster like a GameCube era game without having to put in a ton of effort to like redo the assets. I guess you can if you want to just do like a bare bones port. But I feel like Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, I don't know if this is ever stated or not, but I feel like Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD was testing the waters for Monkey Ball 1 and 2 remake or whatever, remaster. Where they put it out and they're like, do people care about Monkey Ball anymore? And I guess people did. So they decided to make Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. When this was announced, this was like, oh my god, they're finally doing it. It's been so many years since 2 came out on the GameCube. They're finally doing a remake, like a full-on remake of 1 and 2, and they're putting it all together in one game. This had been like the dream for so many years. And then Banana Blitz came out like, yeah, that's cool. Where's 1 and 2? And here it is. Here you go, guys. Have fun. Yeah, I was excited for Banana Mania. I pre-ordered it. Got it. I'm not a huge pre-ordering guy, but that's one series where it's like, I want to show my love. I want Sega to know I'm a Super Monkey Ball fan. There are Super Monkey Ball fans out there. We exist. Give us games. So they gave us Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. How did that game turn out? Banana Mania was pretty good. Again, I talked about this in my video on Super Monkey Ball, the essay I put out on it last year. What day did that come out? I'm going to actually check. Oh, okay. I put my Super Monkey Ball, a comprehensive analysis. I put that out on December 9th last year. So it was a little over a year ago. But yeah, I put that out, and Banana Mania had just came out, I think a month earlier or so. And I was kind of riding high off of it. I was like, this is really cool. I liked a lot of the stuff they did. It's hard to tell how much of this is like nostalgia, like looking over things just for the sake of nostalgia. Because there's some things that people notice, like the physics aren't quite the same. Which makes sense considering that they're like different engines from 1 and 2. Whatever that ran on back in the day to whatever Banana Mania runs on today. Unity, whatever, I don't know, game engines. The physics were kind of different, but I didn't really notice it. I mean, I kind of noticed it. But that might be because of, again, something I'll bring up later. It was cool to have all these stages, and then on top of that, there's like quality of life stuff. New features, cosmetics, missions, challenges. It was cool to have like all these little bells and whistles on top of a game that was already good. It was what I wanted games after 1 and 2 to be. It was a platform. I guess not for more games to come, but there were just so many stages in Banana Mania, and that it just all felt good. The wrapping around it was good. There were some weird things, like I said, with the physics. I didn't really notice it. Kind of noticed it, maybe didn't notice it, maybe I'm just imagining it. Some other people seem to definitely noticed it. But it was a good, you know what? It's not the best, but it's good enough. It's a perfectly serviceable Monkey Ball. Maybe better than that. I'm just glad it exists. I'm glad I have Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 in my Steam library. So I guess to just talk more broadly about the series, what do I like? I think the strength of the series, the absolute core of the series, is the mechanics and like the stages. Because the mechanics of 1 and 2, they're perfect for what it needs to be. You know, the ball rolls around and does what it needs to. And the stages, the stage variety, is where the game gets its, like, heart. You know, the game could play as cool as it is, but if the stages aren't good, then you're not going to remember it. Like, I remember so many stages from 1 and 2. What's the one with, like, the spider going on it? And then there's the one with, like, a really big slope in the, volcano. There's one with a bunch of bouncing beads, and you gotta roll under them. The stages were so memorable in those games. And that's where the variety comes from. It's like, okay, you got a 60-second timer. You have 60 seconds to beat this stage. So stages are short, but there's a lot of them, and you get value from, like, replaying them, see how fast you can beat it, or see if you can get all the bananas. The stages are what make the game. And I also liked about, like, the difficulty. Like, I'm not always going after the hardest challenge in every game. I kind of like to chill out when I'm playing games. I don't stress out over that stuff. But Monkey Ball, it has those easy stages, and it has those difficult stages, those really difficult stages towards the end. I don't know if I should say really difficult. They're not too difficult. I'm sure there's some, like, Super Monkey Ball 2 level packs you could download that are, like, really, really difficult. I wouldn't play those. I'm not into that stuff. The vanilla difficulty curve, it's gradual, eases you into it, and by the time you get to the end, you don't even realize how far you've come. The way they handled that it's great. With all that out of the way, I guess it's time to talk about what I don't like about the series. This I kind of have to stretch a bit, because I really do like a lot of Monkey Ball. But there's two things I don't like about Monkey Ball. Number one, I don't like the randomness in the movement. Now, it's a bit weird to frame it like that, because everything is like, it's deterministic. Like, the monkey will do what you input it to do. Well, hold on. The monkey doesn't move. You move the stage. You're tilting the stage with a control stick, and that does what you want it to do. But what you can't account for is the monkey, and how, like, it's a perfect sphere, so it's always rolling around. How do I say this? In Mario Odyssey, you have perfect control over Mario. Like, you push up and he moves up, and you can kind of adjust how he goes, and it's very easy to, land on a platform. But in Monkey Ball, when you get moving, like, that's momentum you can't stop. Like, there's no brakes on a Monkey Ball. If you're running forward in Super Mario Odyssey, and you're running forward, you're holding forward and you're right up to a cliff, if you want to stop, you just yank back on the control stick. But if you're in Super Monkey Ball and you're running towards an edge, and you're going to fall off and die, and you yank back on the control stick, that monkey still has momentum. You might likely fall off. And that momentum, it's really, really hard to account for in the moment. Well, there can be perfect speed runs where you're like, I remember when I did the Super Monkey Ball video, I looked into a few speed runs, and there was one stage, I looked up like how the strats go for it. If you want to go somewhere, you look at the timer, and it'll say like 57:45. Like, that'll be the second marker. And if you pause and hit that, you're like, okay, I gotta hold upright now. And then you just hold upright until, you try to pause on another second marker, 48:57. Then you pause on that and then hold up. It has to be like that, because everything is like frame perfect. If you hold up a frame early, a couple frames early, that could snowball into something completely different. So like I said, it's deterministic in a way, but the the variables are so hard to control for, it makes it difficult. So there's some, like, is what I'm saying coming across? I have it in my head, and it's hard to describe in like an unscripted way. I'm sure if I was writing I guess I kind of described it in the video essay I put together on it, but trying to describe it unscripted, it's kind of rambly. There's a lot of variables to account for when you play the game in real time, and it's kind of hard to account for all that stuff. And finally, the biggest problem with Super Monkey Ball these days, and it's not even Super Monkey Ball's fault. That's the worst part. This is the worst part about Monkey Ball, and it's not even the fault of the developers. It's the fact that we don't have controller notches these days. Playing Banana Mania, there are some stages that are extremely harder than they were in the original game, because you don't have notches on the control stick, like gate. So, if you have a controller near you, just kind of grab it and look at the control stick. If it's any modern controller, even the Switch controllers, you move the control stick around in a circle. It's a perfect circle. Now, if you've seen pictures of the GameCube controller or Wii Nunchuck, or you have one, or you just know what it looks like. There's notches at like 45-degree intervals. So if it's like at a clock, if you're looking at a clock, 12 o'clock is a notch, 3 o'clock is a notch, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then all the halfway in between those. When you have notches, if you're imagining your control stick as a clock, if you have a notch at 12 o'clock exactly, if it's cut perfectly by a computer when the controller is manufactured, so that if you're holding up, you're holding up. You're not holding diagonally up and to the right a little bit. You're holding up. You're not going to go in any other slight direction. And it just sucks that modern controllers don't have that, because that hurts games like this. There are stages, I'm thinking of one stage early on in Monkey Ball 2, where it's like a very thin platform and you got to go across and then drop off to fall into some goals. And the platform is thin. It's very hard to roll across it if you just have if you don't have notches. Grab your controller, if you got a controller near you. Okay, you're holding the controller, and you push up. Just push up without looking at it. Now hold that position and look at your controller. Are you holding perfectly up? Or are you holding up and to the left a bit? Or up and to the right a bit? And I'm looking at it right now, and I'm adjusting ever so slightly with my thumb to get it to hold up without going any direction. And I can't tell. Games like this need precision. I need to know if I'm holding up, I'm going up. So I'm not going to fall off this ledge. I need to know that I'm going where I want to go. I can't fault anybody for this problem. I can't fault the controller developer. I can't fault Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo for not having notches in controllers, because that's maybe I can, I guess. But maybe gamers just don't care about that these days. They want full 360 movement without hearing the as you go into different notches. I definitely can't fault Sega or the developers of the game, because what are they going to do to fix the fact that my PS5 controller can't hold straight up without me having perfect muscle control? I guess they could do something with controller gates, in that if you're in a certain window. How do I describe this? I don't have a lot of technical knowledge about controllers or anything like that, or inputs. But if you're in within a certain window of a pie chart, so if there's a circle of the entire controller gate where you're holding your control stick, if you're holding up and to the left ever so slightly, just a couple points, maybe it just automatically corrects it to perfectly straight. Like a gate or a dead zone kind of thing. I guess they could kind of account for it there, but then at that point you're sacrificing perfect movement. So if you do need to hold up and to the left ever so slightly by a few points, it's going to correct it into just being straight up. So that's taking away control from the player. I don't know what should be best. Yeah, Super Monkey Ball's in a tight spot these days with these controller problems. Super Monkey... I remember that stage I was talking about where you have to go straight on a very thin platform and then fall off at the end. I used a keyboard for that part, because I can hold W. I hold the W key, and that makes me go straight forward. And I know there's no analog input there to where I don't hold on W so hard so it doesn't go as far. No, I'm just pressing W, I'm going max speed. That's all there is to it. It's a digital input. With a controller, it's an analog input. There were some stages in that where I had to use a keyboard, and I hate that. You know, people on consoles, they don't have that option. Very briefly, the future of the series, I hope we see more Monkey Ball games. Banana Mania, I think it did pretty well, so maybe we'll see another Monkey Ball game. I don't know, I'd like to see a Super Monkey Ball 3. With Banana Mania, I feel like they understand the core of the series. I feel like they can do Super Monkey Ball 3. I feel like they have the confidence to do that. Or maybe they don't, I don't know. They pulled off Banana Mania, so maybe I'm just imagining that. I'd like to see it. You know, even if it's not so good as 1 and 2, I'd like to see what a modern Monkey Ball would look like. Yeah. Alright, so that's it. Thanks for watching. As always, leave a comment suggesting a topic for a future video. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. Who can say? Alright, bye? Is that what I say at the end of these? Bye?